So Joe Manchin has apparently said behind the scenes, I will not support more than $1.5 trillion for this reconciliation bill. Now, we've talked about this a lot on Crystal Kyle and Friends and on Secular Talk to Kyle Klinsky show. The way the reconciliation process works is you have the top line number that was approved, the 3.5 trillion, but now the negotiation really starts. So the line from progressives correctly is, no, 3.5 trillion is the floor. That is the compromise. We're done here. I'm happy that they're arguing that. Now, that really is, though, just a negotiating position. And my actual red line, and I'm media, so I can share this with you guys. If I was a politician, I wouldn't necessarily share this publicly because I don't want to negotiate against myself. But my actual red line is 2 trillion. The reconciliation bill needs to be 2 trillion or more. And it obviously depends on the specifics of the bill. There should be some climate stuff in there. They have to keep a lot of the, stuff that I view as very important in there. But Manchin's saying, no, I'm not. More than $1.5 trillion is a no-go. I'm done here. That's what's going on behind the scenes. Now, Democratic leaders are actually optimistic, thinking, we think we could get him to move on that. So this is being reported by The Hill. They say, no, there is wiggle room, and we're working on Manchin, and we're going to get him down. Now then you run into the other roadblock, which is there's Kyrsten Sinema, and there's also like 7 or 8 Democratic senators who are terrible, who were against the $15 minimum wage, for example. My guess is they're going to be against this $3.5 trillion bill. So what do you do? What do you do if you get to an impasse? And it looks like we're at an impasse. If they're saying, hey, $1.5 trillion maximum, they're probably starting with, no, let's do $800 billion. And the conservative Democrats want to get to 1.5 trillion max. And of course, the left is saying 3.5 trillion. Biden, to his credit, is saying 3.5 trillion. So what do you do? Well, now we get to a new story that just came out maybe 3 or 4 days ago. And this blew up online. Credit to The Intercept. I believe they were the ones who originally reported this. Apparently, Joe Manchin's daughter was illegally colluding with Pfizer to drastically increase the price of EpiPens. She works for a pharmaceutical company that produces EpiPens. And Joe Manchin's wife was using her position as head of the National Association of State Boards of Education to advocate that schools are required to stock up on EpiPens. So they have emails. They have her dead to rights, where she's saying, we need to find a rationalization as to why we're price gouging and jacking up the cost of these EpiPens, jacking up the price of these EpiPens. And again, they have hard emails. It's very clear she's violating the law. There's illegal collusion. There's price gouging. It's disgusting, grotesque pharmaceutical company corruption. And now we know that that's the case. And it's not just Manchin's daughter. Now it's Manchin's wife we know is in on this as well, trying to get the schools to have a stockpile of EpiPens to put more money in the pockets of the Manchin family. So some people calling him Joe Manchin, Mansion, Manchin, like big house. Crystal is referring to Joe Manchin and his family now as the Manchin crime family because they're all in on this. And another thing Manchin said about the $3.5 trillion is $3.5 trillion bill. Excuse me, I still can't talk because I'm rusty. I've been out of work for a week on vacation. Is that he's against universal pre-K and tuition-free community college. So 2 of the best provisions in this $3.5 trillion bill, Manchin is against them. And he's saying, I don't want this in the bill at all. Okay, so what do you do now, given these 2 stories? If I'm Joe Biden, I pick up the phone and I call Joe Manchin and I say, hey, big guy, come to my office. I want to have a conversation with you. And when he comes in the office, I say, my DOJ might just have to look into your daughter and might just have to look into your wife and might just have to look into your entire family and investigate them. And we might just have to bring charges. And they might just have to go to jail because we have the emails. We have them dead to rights. We know they violated the law. Now, is there anything that you, Joe Manchin, could do to make it so I back off and I don't put your family in jail? Well, maybe if you reconsider that $3.5 trillion bill, maybe we won't look into them. And maybe everything will be A-okay. You tell me, buddy. Now, I'll sweeten the pot, too. If you reconsider this $3.5 trillion bill, I'm going to look out for West Virginia. I'll put another military base there. We'll allocate more infrastructure. We'll double the amount of infrastructure spending going to West Virginia. You decide. So you could either get a new military base in West Virginia and more infrastructure money, or your family can go to jail. You got to make him an offer he can't refuse. This is what LBJ would have done. This is what FDR would have done, and it would have worked. And now they have the leverage on Manchin. Oh, they definitely have the leverage. Are they going to use it? Now, my guess is no. And my guess is they'll negotiate and they'll get down to some number, and then the left will have the decision, do we hold strong and vote no and tank everything because the number's not high enough, or do we give in and vote for it? A lot of that is going to depend on whether or not Bernie thinks the deal is legit enough. But again, I'll tell you guys at the time what I think of the deal when the final deal comes out. But minimum don't come to me with no $1 trillion shit. Don't come to me with no $1.5 trillion shit. Don't come to me with no $1.9 trillion shit. $2 trillion or more, and the details of the bill better be good. They should keep in tuition-free community college. They should keep in universal pre-K. They should keep in a bunch of climate stuff. It's time to play hardball, dog. It's time to play hardball. And if you don't, Joe Biden, then there will be no legacy to speak of. You'll be Bill Clinton 2.0 as opposed to FDR 2.0 or LBJ 2.0. So if the past is any indication of what the future will be, he'll buckle and be neoliberal, and either everything will fall apart or they'll pass a really watered down shitty bill. My definition of not watered down and not too shitty is $2 trillion or more with a lot of good provisions. But we'll see. Play hardball with Joe Manchin. Use the story about his family breaking the law to put pressure on him, to exert leverage on him, and to get him to buckle to your will, because really, you're just getting him to do the thing that the American people desperately want. And last time I checked, that's called democracy.